Hey guys, today I'm doing a catch and cook for smallmouth bass. The recipe I'll be doing is a baked fish. I can guarantee it'll be the best baked fish you've ever had, so stay tuned.
Alright, little guy.
Right, so I keep fishing for a little bit longer, but my GoPro ran out of battery before I was able to catch a bass big enough to be worth eating. So in light of that, we're just gonna jump straight to the cooking. Okay, so to start things off, we're gonna be making our marinade. The first part of this is just finely chopping up some garlic. And you wanna get these pieces really, really small. Next, we're gonna finely chop some thyme and some mint leaves. The amount you use is just gonna depend on how much you like each herb, so by all means modify this recipe as you see fit. Then we're gonna add the juice of one lime. And before you cut into it, you're gonna wanna give it a few good firm rolls on your cutting board to just tenderize the middle, so that way you can get some more juice out of it when you do squeeze it. So to finish things off, we're gonna add a shot of Bushmills Blackbush, but for this recipe, any whiskey would do the job. We're just gonna pour the marinade all over the fish and then use your hands to make sure all the seasoning get really rubbed into the fish. So don't be afraid to use your hands here. Once that's done, you're gonna wanna put some plastic wrap all over everything and then pop it in the fridge for an hour and a half to 2 hours. Okay, so after it's done marinating, we're going to preheat our oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and then we'll prepare to bake the fish. So before we start doing anything with the fish, we're going to finely chop some onions, and you'll see how we use that a little bit later. So the first thing you want to do right now is give this fish a good coating of olive oil. Smallmouth bass is a very lean meat, so don't be afraid of using a little bit more oil than you might normally. Once you've given it a good coating of olive oil, you want to rub some salt and pepper onto it as well. Okay, so now we're going to take the onions we've chopped up earlier and just lay a few small pieces on top of some aluminum foil. And with onions, I prefer to be a little bit conservative with how much I use. They have a really strong flavor, and a little bit goes a really long way. So we're going to just place the fish on top of these onions and then put the rest of the onions on top of the fish. Okay, so once you're done with the onions, we can just wrap up the fish into a sort of aluminum foil envelope and pop it in the oven for about 15 minutes. While the fish is cooking away, we're going to prepare a garnish for it. And for this, I'm going to use some crushed up almonds. I find that almonds will give the fish a very nice flavor, as well as adding a bit of a crunch to it. The way we're going to crush these almonds is that we're going to put them on a piece of plastic wrap and then fold it up into an envelope, very similarly to what we did with the fish. And then we're going to take a small saucepan and just go to town on it. Now, word of warning, if you're doing it this way, it's going to take some time, so just be advised. Or you could just use a food processor, but I didn't really have one on hand. Okay, so once you've got that crushed up properly, just going to very carefully tip the contents of our little plastic envelope into a small bowl. Now that our fish has finished cooking, we're going to very carefully put it onto the plate, which we're going to use to serve it. Okay, so I'm not sure how well you can see this on the video, but there is a lot of steam coming out from this aluminum foil packet, so you want to be very, very careful when you're opening it, or you will burn yourself. Now that you can properly see the steam, well, you don't have smell-o-vision yet, but I'm going to tell you right now, at this point, it smells amazing. So we're just going to take a small knife and cut off the extra aluminum foil, and then we're going to fold over the edges to create a sort of a plate on a plate. Now we're going to take the almonds that we've spent so much time crushing up and give the fish a good coating. So just sprinkle them all over. Alrighty, last step of this recipe, we're just going to take some sprigs of thyme and mint, put them on top as a garnish. And there we have it. Fresh baked fish with herbs and toasted almonds. I hope you've enjoyed this recipe, and if you want to see more, be sure to like and subscribe. Cheers.